Bishop, Cleveland.
Yeah, you see right there. Folks, it's Dave, and this is Sean, and we're here, the special guest for tonight, on a special on-site appearance of Barstools and Bandtalk. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Bill Boutilier. Da, 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 da.
And I gotta feel like I'm in the Smithsonian of music here. We came up to Bill's house. We're not going to divulge this because if we do, there's an awful lot of material that could go missing. But it's absolutely the amount of recorded material that Bill has here. Let him describe it. We're going through this. I mean, the one that caught my eye immediately. You can see that or not? Oh, with that, brother. Titan.
Crossroads.
Downchild Blues Band. Frank McKay.
One for Doug and the Slugs.
Doucette.
Levon Helm. And the
We
Cape
could go on
Brothers.
forever.
The Cape Brothers. Who was some of that the other day? The Cape Brothers. That was Paul Lyson.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, you sing Tower of Power.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a good friend Peter from Drama. You go with Drama.
Well, and so we're going to start there because we met Bill.
Yeah.
It was in 1987.
Yep.
Not to date ourselves. Bill was doing sound for Drama at the time, and we got to do that Schooner music tour, and it was a university tour.
Do you remember that, Bill?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I remember that was the first time that somebody told me, get a pillow out of your kick drum and put foam in it. I don't know if you remember that or
I
not.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's feedback. Don't do that. It's feedback. And we went out, we found some foam, and it was great. So you're looking good. How you been keeping there, young feller?
Busy.
Yeah. What you been up to?
6'2".
I'm gonna rat him out because we know.
I usually say 4'26".
Yeah, that's me.
We know what he's been up to. We saw your little calling card on the marquee on the way in here. President of the social club, Bill Boutilier.
That's right. Makes sense.
Oh yeah, big time.
So seriously, man, like I said, it's you got a beautiful spot here. You look amazing. Full head of fucking hair on Bill Boutilier.
Great, though.
Whatever. Yeah, let's not have a great.
I'll be 70 next year.
Wow. It's fueled Thursday, almost Friday. Because again, the three things I remember about Bill. I remember actually there's four things.
Are you in the? I can't see if you're in the shot. You gotta let me know.
Oh, yeah,
Bill used to have, like, you remember you used to have the squeeze thing for your.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and if Bill didn't like what you're doing, he hit you with the forearm. So I remember that.
Hey.
Yeah.
There it is.
I remember that.
Well, you're front.
Yeah.
Now I know why. Because you're in 18,000 car accidents.
Protein. I eat lots of meat.
That's right. Second thing I remember about Bill, you never told him there wasn't enough bottom end through the PA because you pay for it. Third thing I remember about Bill, and I don't remember this, we went up and played in, it was a version of Fifth Avenue. Bill showed me how to actually have your pop, 2-liter pop, not go flat. Do you remember that? Basically, you take a drink and you squeeze it. Yeah, and you cap it. And there was a fourth thing. What was the fourth thing?
Heel toe.
Kick drum.
Heel toe.
Oh, wait. So, true story. We're opening for Drama at the Palace, and Bill's mixing us. And I was playing with my heel down, and Bill's like, "You can't play with your heel down. Drummers don't do that." And you're the reason why I started playing heel up, because I always played heel down my right foot, and it was like relearning. Again, it was fun.
Quicker.
And right, it was quicker but more power. You're always like
more control.
Yeah. So there you go.
$5.
That's
$5.
But
you yell at you.
Wait for that $5.
Yeah. I'll show you secrets are coming out.
Yeah.
So it's funny, and as we're sitting here, and I mean, and I knew, Bill, that you had all this, but this is going to probably be all over the place because we haven't seen each other in a while. But I mean, you took all this, you found it in your basement, and you transferred it to CDs and tapes, and
it's on. A lot of it's on SoundCloud, right?
So, I did. I got kicked off.
Really? How come?
Prince didn't like his management company. That's before he died. Didn't like Purple Rain.
Oh, okay.
It was probably sounded too good.
Fair enough.
Because Michael Dimitri was a good singer.
Oh, was Dimitri doing it? Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, he was good. I don't know. You get 3 strikes against you. Some of the songs they picked on were, supposed to have written or consent to
Authorized it, yeah, and all that.
authorize them
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
I'm not making any money off this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I made, you know how many CDs I've given away?
Yeah.
For people for nothing. I never sold one CD. I've won through thousands.
Well, and we were talking about this beforehand. You did this to basically figure out what you were doing wrong and what you were doing right.
Yeah.
When you were
It's
mixing.
tapes were just live.
Right.
Like after a gig, I'd go back to the motel room, whatever, and just put my headphones on and listen to tapes, and I learned, you know, that's how.
So this is the kind of stuff that Bill does. So this is, and you've been, now, since when did you start mixing bands now, Bill?
It was back in early 70s. My brother, you know, had the National Fair, and he got a follow spot because they used to do a lot of conventions. If he was a book agent, they paid big bucks. So the holiday, or not the holiday,
Dartmouth?
Nova Scotian, and
Oh yeah.
and the big one down there on Spring Garden Road. Lord Nelson, they had all these big conventions there, and they want the big band, they want the show bands, and that's what they were. They came out and did different things. It was like, and then after a while they got a spotlight, and that's what I did. And they said, well, we can get a snake for this, you know, our mixer on stage, and you can do it up front. And I said, all right. So I was doing fall spot, and they had this PV mixer. It was about maybe 3.5 feet long, and that big, and the knob, the control buttons were big as my fucking hand. Turn that up, turn that up, turn that up. It was like, oh my God, old PV mixer. Oh my God.
Wow.
That was the first band I really started mixing. Then when he started working for Entertainment Contacts, I had to.
That was with Doug Kirby and Joan Kirby.
Yeah. And who was this? A couple other
And we
guys.
love Joan. Joan's been on the show. She's an absolute.
Oh yeah,
gem.
no, yeah.
She's fantastic.
We love Joan. So yeah, we're asked that question because what Bill would do is record since the 70s, because his dad did it before that in the 50s, every show, so that he could kind of pick it apart himself. It wasn't for human consumption per se. It was more to train your own ear.
Yeah.
But thank God he did this, because I mean, there is 40, 50 years worth of recorded material here.
Well, and I don't want to mix this up because Bill probably has some sort of order. But I mean, so you got Drama, Victoriaville, 1986. You get Drama and Rob Hanna at the Misty Moon in 1986. You get Drama and is that the Strand? Who's that?
What's that?
That's the Strand.
That's
The Strand.
This is in the Strand, yeah, in St. John's.
But here's the thing: all these, I mean,
At the mall, right?
And
What's that?
At the mall.
The
Strand Plaza.
yeah.
Oh, we played like we went to Newfoundland. Hayes had put the band together. Now, Drama was all these guys that were fired from other bands. They were all fired.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't, you know, great musicians at all. But Hayes and we out poontang. He was like, just throw the guys crazy, throw me crazy. And then he said, you know, get this band, you know, you going to Newfoundland. Off to Newfoundland we went. And they had a drummer, but he was, what was his name?
Was it Tom?
No, before Tom. He became a good drummer, but we had to let him go. And he said, well, how's the drummer? And I said, well, he's not gelling very good, but he did become a good drummer after he got fired, because I think that was the first band he got fired from. The other guys were all fired before, so they were working their ass off.
That would have been Creighton.
No. It wasn't like somebody like Dave O'Grady or somebody like that.
Dave O'Grady. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, he wasn't a bad drummer, but he wasn't.
So Dave actually
So
in Euthanasia became a very good singer.
Hazen told me on the phone. He said, "Well, Tony's fired, and put him on a plane and send him back to Halifax, and we'll send you a new drummer." And that was Tom.
Okay.
And we were playing at the freaking Flyers Club in the Gander.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the strip club. That's what it was, and the band for entertainment, right?
Yeah.
So the band after Tom got there, it was good. He did really. Tom fit right in. I said, "Oh shit!" This guy knows
Tom and
it was Paul, probably still Paul Craig. Probably.
Paul Craig, and you got the George Wedge,
Right.
and Chris Lamb.
Right.
And the band, Paul, the whole band, all they did was practice. Paul Craig became from day one and to where he was about 2 or 3 months later, it was unbelievable. The whole band came. Tom was just solid right from day one.
Yeah.
And he knew how to tune drums. He was a good drummer. And Peter, you couldn't ask for a better front person.
No,
for sure.
And he wasn't a bad singer. I mean, after we went from Gander, we went to, I think, St. John's or Stephenville. Oh, fuck, Stephenville. Laura Lee,
yes, sir.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that'd be the STD capital of the world. That's okay.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that.
Well, that's a band house. I wouldn't take my clothes off. I laid on the bed.
That was Cornerbrook for me. Cornerbrook was bad, but anyhow.
Oh, Cornerbrook was Tall Boys.
Mm.
I didn't find that bad.
That house isn't there anymore. They knocked it down.
Yeah.
Just too much. Too many.
Just Ritchie Oakley DNA all over the place, I'm sure.
Oh, that's another story.
Yeah.
Oakley.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I mean, again,
Okay, well, let's okay. We started with Drama. That's where we were there. But you start with your brother's band in early '70s. And
yeah,
then,
but when my brother got me into this other stuff, he was booking these tour bands
okay.
and need a sound man. He booked me with John Lee Hooker up at St. FX. I said, I don't have no PA system or anything. All I got is a half-ton truck. Well, that's all you need.
So
So Ron said, okay, my brother, right? He said, well, don't worry about it. We'll go to Music Stop, get a PA, and you just meet them. I'll go with you. So this is in the wintertime. We drove up there. We got to the gig, and it was in the goddamn rink. And the fucking stage was about 7 feet off of the floor, and the ceilings were probably about 100 feet high. It was a rink. An auditorium, no sound, nothing anywhere. So we're talking John Lee Hooker, right? He couldn't even stand up. He was like, he had to have a chair to sit on, and they had all these young guys playing for him. So that was something else. I looked at the gear and I said, oh my God, it looked like something they dug out of the garbage, right? Some of the amplifiers were all ripped. Everything was like. So I said, okay, do a sound check. I kept telling the guys, I said, please, you don't need a lot of volume in this room, because if you get too loud, I can't turn the PA up. And the sounds, you want PA to disperse the sound better. I said, oh yeah, no problem.
Liars.
So they kept liars. They kept the volume down, right? At the sound check. Then they started, some people came into the place, and then all of a sudden, the band started, and it was like, they turned the amps up to probably about, you couldn't get them any higher.
Yeah.
And I said,
I was go to 11.
I couldn't wait until that night was over. We packed up the PA and everything in the back of my half-ton truck.
I can't believe you did an auditorium or a friggin' arena with a PA that fit in the back of your half-ton truck.
Oh, yeah. And then Brian says, well, I get this really good weed here. We'll smoke this before we go drive back to Halifax. And I'm like, that's me being stupid. I said, okay, let's do that. Smoke a whole bunch of joints. It was hash, I think it was. Really good hash. Blind Lebanese or whatever. So we packed the truck up. We hit the road. We start, we're just about 10 minutes outside of Antigonish, and it started snowing.
Okay.
Mount Tom. That's
Yeah.
We were coming up the backside of Mount Tom, and it started snowing. And it was snowing. That was the snow was so, I couldn't even see the end of the truck. It was snowing. You know how it's coming? Your headlights are in it?
Yeah.
And it's coming right at you. All the way back to fucking Halifax. I couldn't believe we got back all right.
But that's interesting because that's the stuff people see the show, they don't see the band. They don't see the guys setting the gear up. They don't see the guys lugging the gear in. They don't see those crazy, hitting 100 moose in Newfoundland.
Yeah.
The death-defying drives that we had. In fact, you'll probably remember this. We talked about this about Peter. We were talking on the phone with Peter before he passed away. I mean, we were playing on the same tour, that Schooner beer tour. And Rob Barris was a singer in Sweet Surrender. He had a Mazda 66. He smashed dead center into an Oldsmobile, taking left-hand turn on the Bridgeton Highway. My head was on the other side of the fucking windshield. It turns my hair where my nose is broken. His thumbs is so.
That's why you're good looking now.
Just fucking broke his sunglasses, right? Well, it's true, because my nose is just funny mention that. It's a funny story. But I mean, that's a car accident. I mean, another problem is it's like, you know, like, but I mean, those guys stopped because, but that's the stuff that happens on the road, right?
We were talking about how Peter and the boys were in the van because they were going, and they stopped and they picked us up, and it was just like, I just remember the whole time Peter's like, "You all right, if you don't want to play, we'll talk to your agent," because we had Rob McClellan was our agent, and all Rob wanted us to do was get up there and do that 45-minute set because we were contractually obligated to do it, right? But those are the things, and you know, we've talked to Roy Moncriquet, we've talked to Peter Hendrickson, and a lot of people don't get to hear the stories about, you know, what you guys go through to set up the sound checks, to deal with the arsehole drummers and guitar players and bass players.
Kevin Barris and Brian Norman. I mean, we all, there's a million stories, and I know you have them too. It's like the stuff that we did, that you did even before then, because I mean, you're talking about early mid 70s.
Yeah.
I mean,
early 70s. Some of the stuff.
So again, no
there'd
be no seatbelts, there'd be no you know, 4-wheel drive truck. That wasn't, it was probably a front-wheel drive truck, was it, or a rear-wheel drive truck?
My little half-ton.
Yeah.
It's a Ford 150 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Short wheelbase too.
You guys were driving.
With the PA system in the back that filled our arena.
Back then,
oh my God.
The 5-speed with the splitter and the whole shooting match. I mean, it was like, you know, and you had to be a truck driver, an electrician, a sound man. I mean, there was a babysitter. 100%.
I had to be
100%.
Yeah.
There were so many different things, and I was on the air side of that more than once or twice myself.
Yeah.
But what, you know, of all the bands that you know worked with and mixed and whatever, just maybe one or two that kind of stood out, not necessarily as great bands, but great experiences. Or
well, Ron had me booked. He started bringing these big show bands up. One band was Louisiana Purchase.
Okay.
He booked me, I think. They played the Matador. They played. They did some one-nighters. Was that they were a black band, good band, really good band. I think they even played down in Inverness too, at the
Hoff.
Yeah. And oh my God, they did one night at the St. Pat's in the auditorium or the gym, whatever. And they had these flash buds. And I was like, all right. So I was doing mix and everything. Ron had me booked. We did that one. And the lead singer, a really good singer and everything, he was running around throwing matches. There was no electrical charge. He was throwing matches in these flash buds. He'd go up and go throw it down. I said, oh, that's not very safe.
yeah.
And sure enough, they were playing a song. It wasn't funny. It was kind of funny, but it wasn't. But he went over. The band was playing. He was, you know, the guy was doing a guitar break, so he goes over, throws a match in. Nothing happens. So he bends right over it and looks into it, and the fucking thing exploded. And he jumps back, and he pretends nothing happened. Right? I said, "Oh, fuck, that must have hurt." And after that set, I go up and I look at him. His eyebrows are all gone. Eyelashes are gone.
Oh, no.
His hair is all frizz, right? I'm thinking, oh my fuck. Then he had it booked into the Arrows Club too. Remember that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had to do a whole week there.
Yeah.
A week.
A whole week at the Arrows Club. And I couldn't believe. I mean, I was never inside that bar before. But they were all black. There was I don't think there was any white people in there. But, you know, I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed the band. They were good to work with and everything. But I started thinking to myself, there was no limit on how many people came in. I was right in the middle of the room, and it was all, like, you know, doing the mix and everything. You know, there was a group. Like, you know, I love that music, right?
Mm.
They had a horn section, the whole 11-piece, 12-piece, whatever.
Nice.
And they were just rocking.
They just
Friday night, I'm thinking to myself, I look around, and it's like, people are everywhere. They're all saying, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm not just mixing. I'm thinking to myself, oh, God, please don't let there be a fire in here. I'll be the last person out.
That's a good point, though, because, you know, it's going from that to almost almost too strict.
Oh yeah.
With regards to the fire code, like now you can be in a bar and it'd be nothing for the fire inspector or the equipment inspector to come in and just totally shut it down because they think there's one person over it. It's actually
Jeff Hunter told us a funny story there. He's talking about at the Misty Moon probably in 80, 87, 88. I guess they had Nazareth. I think it's Nazareth or.
Oh, I must have been on the. I was probably on the road.
Anyhow, it was way over the code, right? And the fire inspector came in and he tells the story. But walked through the crowd, and the crowd must have known who it was, and they're all like pushing against each other, so it didn't look like it was that big a crowd. The fire inspector wasn't able to do a count and let them all go, right? For this kind of a funny story.
Well, that weekend when I was working the Moon, on the door, they had Edgar Winter, Long John Long John Baldry, Edgar Winter, and Minglewood that weekend.
Wow.
3 different bands, 3 nights. Wow. And the fire guys were out there. And the people were lined up right from upstairs, right down to the bottom, right out the door, and all the way down to Windsor Street.
This little Halifax
intersection there.
People don't realize.
Is that down Skep Road or is that God?
That was
Barrington?
Kent Road.
Kent Road, yeah.
I mean, Dave did a tour at just Dartmouth, and we counted 23, 24 bars that are no longer there that used to be there.
Yeah.
And people, it's interesting that you're saying this because people are starting to get a sense of what was there that isn't there anymore. Like, it's the common thing. Paul Eisen said it, and, everybody, you could work in Dartmouth for 10 weeks if you wanted to. There was work every week, right?
Well, back in I would say the late 70s to mid 80s was prime.
Yeah.
You could go anywhere in Halifax or Dartmouth, and you could catch about 10 good bands.
It's true.
Good production, good sound man, good light guys. I mean, that's the way it was.
So what changed? What do you think changed?
I'll tell you what changed was disco.
Okay.
When disco and MTV and all those companies came out, it became club owners' market. Like, they didn't care about bands. They were putting the big screens in, they were doing this, they were playing disco, and that was it. All the bands that were it started in Ontario and Quebec.
Right.
And as soon as it hit there, all those bands came down and flooded the market down here because they had no work.
It's true. It's true. Even when we started.
I was working with Sam back in 81, and we used to get I think we're 8,400, I think, for 4 nights at the Palace.
And that was in 81.
Yeah. And by 84, we had to do 7 nights. They wanted a big production, big light show. And we had to play 7 nights. And best we could do was like 4,200.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we had like 10 people to pay.
Right.
And they wanted a big show.
Huge production,
Yeah, huge and everything like that. It was
and again, like when we first started playing with you guys, so I remember you had the band, which was 5 guys. Then there was yourself, there was Blair Dykeman, there was Junior.
Oh yeah.
I think that was the crew, was it not? Junior was the stage manager, is that right?
Yeah.
You were in follow spot too, I think.
And you're in follow spot. So I mean, that was 8 people that had to be carted around, and plus the PA, plus the band equipment.
Oh yeah, I mean you gotta have rooms and hotels or whatever. Some of the band houses, think of, I would have liked to sleep in the truck.
Yeah.
On top of a basement would be better than that.
I've done that too.
Oh, we've done that all the way from we left. Where was that? 2.5 days. We had to drive from, I think it was Cape Breton, all the way to Edmonton nonstop.
Wow. Edmonton?
Yep.
Edmonton, Alberta?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
And
Jerry.
Yeah, that sounds like Hazen all over. We working at your boys.
Oh,
working.
yeah, Hazen. Yeah.
So it was Perry doing lights?
Perry was doing lights.
Okay.
And we had, John was with us then.
John Duggan, yeah.
And, I brought John to Halifax. He was a great worker. I love John.
Yeah. John was on the show, and he was awesome.
Oh,
He said a lot of good things about you too.
yeah, no, he was, we got out there, like that drive, 2.5 days. Perry we had a mattress in the back, not a mattress, but a foam rubber or something in the back on top of the base bins, the 5-ton. And we had a pillow back there and the fucking door in the back, the spring-loaded one, right?
Yeah.
Every little bump, that thing.
Yeah.
And you're in the back, it's pitch dark. All you're thinking to yourself, how am I going to sleep here? Terry drives his truck into the water. I ain't coming out.
Yeah.
How are you going to open the door up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what's going through your head, right?
That's right.
And nobody, you know, they could all get killed in the front. Nobody would knew what was in the back. And Terry was back there 6 hours. Terry, get back there. John had to stay up front with us. Poor John had to stay awake for the whole thing.
Well, it's funny. We had those. We used to have the 3-ton Hino, and then we had the
You have
Cuban.
one of Dwayne's?
No,
No, we had one of the old ones for sure.
I don't know. I don't know. If it was Kevin's. No, it would have been. No, it must have been one of Dwayne's first one. It was before an R&R became into effect. Anyhow, it was the old 3-ton Hinos, and that was you couldn't get. Well, we tried to fit 6 people in it, but it was a fucking nightmare. We were the first Cubans, so the first one with the Econo Rocks, we called them, and we built Peter Arsenault, you know, who loved you again.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Arsenault loved you, but built this room out of milk cartons to hold the base bins up, and we had like a little room in the back that 3 people could sleep on out of fucking milk cartons. So you know, I think about it like how we didn't die.
Well, and you used to sneak on the ferry, so you would 3 guys that stayed in the back and 3 guys, and then as soon as the ferry got going, you'd sneak out.
You get out, yeah. Right. Or going over the scales. That was a big one. You say, okay, everyone jump out. You had to get 4 or 5 people to jump out.
You never get that door open because as soon as you stopped somewhere, everybody pressed against it, and you could never. It was some of the stuff that we did, right?
That was a lot of fun.
So what about? So tell us about Oakley Days. So that seemed to be kind of a, you know, a rip.
Well, that was just when I was working there.
But you were on the road with them too, were you not?
No. Well, with Ritchie, with Sam.
Right.
Sam and Willie,
Dobson.
Willie Dobson, Doug McKay, Neil McKinnon, and who else was it?
Ritchie.
Ritchie, yeah.
Who was singing? Ritchie? No.
Sam.
Oh, Sam. Sorry, Sam.
Yeah,
right.
Sam Boots. Yeah.
He was. That band rocked. I mean, Ritchie knew how to freaking get people going.
Yeah.
Oh, that time. Oh, Jesus. Calgary. We're out to Calgary. And it was probably the last song of the night. And, of course, you know, Sam used to get Ritchie on his shoulders. Well, this time he did it. Got on his shoulders. We had the fall spot right on him. It was right. The band was just, Ritchie was just rocking. I mean, he was just going nuts. And his last song, the place was going nuts. Sam run across the dance floor, metal dance floor.
Mm-mm.
And he's running, and all of a sudden, Ritchie leaning really too far ahead. And when he leaned forward, Sam started going faster and faster, and he couldn't. And oh my God, both of them, face first, bang! And I had the PA cranked, and the guitar. Ritchie didn't even take his hand off of the guitar. He went face first, head first. Guitar, when it hit that fucking metal stage, it was unbelievable.
But he kept going.
And the PA went this great big roar, like the people were going nuts. The people in the bar were going nuts. They were shaking the place. They were going nuts. All the fucking the waiters, the doorman came running over, and Ritchie's, and he hits and he bounces and lands on his back. And his guitar is way over here, and he started playing the guitar with one hand, and he was still like this on the fucking ground, and the place was just erupted. It was unbelievable. I mean, if I had a camera there, or taped it like video, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
The place went absolutely nuts, and he just kept playing and then he started getting into it on the field.
And poor Sam's right there with a concussion down the floor. He hit through the studio.
Well, I was worried more with Ritchie because Ritchie didn't even put his hands up.
Well, we had Sam on the show, and he talked about Ritchie, and he said Ritchie used to say all the time, "You can't play drunk, you can't play at all."
Oh yeah. And another time we were out west we were on in Canmore at a big rock concert. There was like 20 or 30 bands. And of course, you know, Ritchie, they had this big fence in front of the stage. I was out beyond there, you know, the sound booth and everything was there. So of course, Ritchie's fucking jumps down off the stage. And the people were at the fence. And they were shaking the fence. And Ritchie was winding out, like just winding out. And people were screaming with their hands like, throw us your guitar, throw us your guitar.
Throw us your guitar.
So Ritchie takes the guitar off and he throws it over the fucking fence. And everybody, instead of catching it, they all jump back and the fucking thing hit the fucking ground. I couldn't fucking believe it. I said, fucking Ritchie. I don't know how many fucking guitars he ruined that way. Replaced the necks on them. And
Well, I mean, there's obviously a lot of, I mean, we're getting a lot of stories about him and a lot of stories about Sam. It's kind of neat, the different story. Like, you know, Frank McKay, they talk about The Voice. Dave Roberts, they talk about The Voice. Ritchie, they talk about, obviously, a great player, but just a showman.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much what you remember back then?
Fast forward. I mean, Kevin McMichael and Paul. I mean, they were, I mean, nothing like Floyd King, like he was great. And Alan King,
Yeah,
his brother, he was a wizard at electronics and getting sounds, and he was a great player too. But when Paul started drinking, back in those days, in the early 80s, he would not stop. We went to Charlotte in Brunswick.
Mm-hmm.
We were supposed to play from Wednesday night until Sunday night. He left, got in the car, and they were drinking all the way to Charlotte. And that night, he was loaded. He was playing drums in too. Played drums and singing. He wasn't too bad. But as soon as they ran out of booze, Ronnie or Eddie Young were really on the Quebec border.
Right.
They got booze, you know, 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
You go to the convenience store and you get your booze. So Paul would give them money, or he wouldn't go over there because he didn't want to cross over the border. He was so loaded, right? They'd get his booze, come back, and Paul was awake. I'm not kidding. I don't know how he did it, but he was awake from Wednesday until probably Sunday.
Oh my God.
Sunday when they went back. Ronnie and I would be trying to get him. We had to pour coffee into him, give him anything he wanted, just to keep him. He was falling off the drum stool.
Oh, listen, here's some stories on you, brother.
So he was, but Paul was a classic. He was good. He was. It was unbelievable. What other Jesus like thoughts going? I hate getting old.
Well, that's pretty impressive drinking streak. I'm going to say that's.
Well, I mean, we you know, we met with Paul a couple weeks ago, and I mean, you want to talk about? I mean, it was my first time meeting him. Absolutely freaking hilarious. I mean, like, you know, a bundle of energy. He's saying the same thing. Oh, I'm forgetting
He
stuff.
always punch you there. He always punch you there.
Yeah.
No,
Oh yeah, I got
didn't
him.
do that to
Yeah, I
me.
got him.
No.
What?
He wanted to see how hard he could hit
Oh,
you,
really?
and then you'd hit him.
Man, you guys. But I mean, what an energy. I mean,
I got
he
called
sit
an
there and again, full head of hair too. So something
Oh,
to say
yeah.
for you guys there. And he's just hilarious and just storytelling, full energy. It was just a lot of fun. And
Oh, yeah.
talking about the same thing, talking about playing drums with those guys. And,
Yeah.
he said the same thing about Kevin.
Yeah.
He said, like, Paul, it doesn't matter what band he was in. Oh, who's gonna play drums? Oh, I'll play drums. And you know, they already talked to me about leaving Fast Forward and going with who was it, what Fast Forward? No, that he played drums at Fast Forward.
Chalice.
Spice.
Spice Chalice Fast Forward.
Yeah. Okay. No, it went from Spice to Fast Forward.
Okay.
But Paul, holy shit, like he'd play anything.
Yeah.
And he could tune drums. Like I said, okay, I'm going with these guys. I left Sam or whatever, whoever I was working with, they wanted me to do sound. And I said, well, who's playing drums? Oh, I am.
I will.
I thought you played bass. Yeah, I played bass before. And then the sax. I said, who's playing keyboard? They wanted me to go with sax. Michael Dimitri, you know, sax, and I said, "Who's playing keyboards?" Oh, I am. I can play guitar. Jeez.
Yeah, you love guys
You can
like
do
that,
anything.
right? Yeah, you love guys like that. And you see the house that he built. So I
Oh,
mean,
well, yeah, he's very talented. I mean, he's really like, you
Decks, yeah, you can do it all.
Yeah. That's,
I mean,
that's
it's
hilarious.
heaven. I mean, we were lucky. We grew up or got to work in this. Like I tell a lot of these people, like became musicians later, like in the '90s, and like, it's not like back then. It was very.
We know, Sean and I know that we hit the end of the heyday. Like we were just like 86, 87. Like that's when we were coming on, and it was changing. It wasn't.
Yeah,
dead.
you guys didn't hit it when it was like the
No, we were
late
on the tail end of it.
70s.
No, we were working the 7 nights. You know, you'd working 7 nights when you were in town.
But no money. Like the money was not
No.
what it.
Jesus Christ.
What it
No, the money was gone then.
It was for sure.
I would say it was down like 40%.
Yeah.
Within.
And the production costs were so much higher. Like we had, Jesus, we worked on a percentage where we had to give about 15% to the agent. Now, if you were one of Dwayne's bands at R&R, you're actually doing more like, I think it was 30%.
It was 30 because you're paying 15% for the PA, 15% to
Exactly.
get the band box, right? So
And then you had the truck and lights was all,
Yeah.
so it actually ended up being closer to 50
Yeah.
to the agent's cost. Each got, I think y'all got 5%.
Oh,
Sound man, we paid Kevin Woodworth, we paid him 25% for his PA and him, and then 15% to Dwayne, and then something for the truck and lights.
that's great. Well,
15%.
that Schooner Music Tour, I can tell you right now, we did it for swag, beer, and a little bit of food. I don't think we made a cent, but it was
We
like,
always
oh,
had
those friggin'
We always had
man.
those snow runs after the gig, though, eh?
What's what?
Snow runs.
Yes,
We remember the snow runs.
absolutely.
You know what a snout is?
I don't know if I want to say.
Tell me.
I-
might guess. What is a snout?
It's a nose.
Hey,
Snout.
It's a little fish, isn't it? Is that what you're talking about?
We
Hey.
always had lots of snouts.
Okay.
Oh, maybe you weren't with us then.
You know, you're stopping me here, but I might remember.
Hot
What...
dogs.
Oh, yes! Yes, I do remember that.
We used to say, okay, boys, come on over. We're having a snout run tonight after the gig.
Well, I do
Remember that?
remember that because Junior always be, okay, boys, come on over. Because I ran into Junior like a year and a half ago at the Split Crow. He didn't recognize me at first, introduced myself. And I always remember when we did that tour, Junior was always like, you don't need to drink all the beer tonight, guys. Like, he would
always be like, Drama, can we have some more beer?
Yeah. But,
That reminds me of another. So many fucking stories.
Well, that's what we're here for, brother. This is what we're here for.
That's like time of Drama.
Yeah.
We were going out west on that tour. And they used to get beer from one of the reps for Moosehead or whatever, right?
Yeah.
They'd show up at the gig sometimes. Somebody was really close to them or something.
it's probably Paul Finley.
They come over with a couple of cases of 2-4s from the band, right?
Yeah.
And I said, oh, that's nice. Okay, great. And so they knew, Moosehead knew we were going out west. And so the truck was all loaded, and I think Aaron or somebody said to me, you got to go by Moosehead. They're going to give you a few cases of beer. I said, oh, yeah, okay, we're going to town. Okay, that's fine. So I go over there, and I back the truck in. I back the truck up, open it up, and here pick up a few cases of beer, right? So I open the door up, and the guy says, oh, you're going to need a little bit more room than that, guys. I said, oh, okay. So he made some room. Fucking brought out a whole fucking skid. It was like 64 2-4s.
Oh my
of
God.
Moosehead.
Is that
There,
right?
he said, close the door. Off I went. I couldn't fucking believe it.
Wow.
No touch.
That's amazing.
So those days are over, kids. You're not going to see
Yeah.
that again.
I mean, they're not. I mean, they're just that whole era is gone. I mean, it's a memory and whatever. But the other thing, in a couple times you mentioned about tuning drums and stuff, and I was talking to somebody the other day, and this comes right from my experience with Bill Boutilier. I remember you saying, tune the drums for the sound man, not for yourself. Because if you do that, you're like, and that stuck with me all these years. So I will tune my drums for the sound man, not
if
for
you
myself.
want to be heard.
Well, right, because it's just like, what? Why fight with the guy that's
You
going
got
to make
all
me
those-
sound good?
You got all those overtones and everything.
Yep.
It just destroys your sound. The PA just sounds like shit.
Yep.
Because it resonates. Unless you have, back then we didn't have noise gates or compressors. We were
No.
lucky to have a delay,
Yeah.
So you had to tune
and
the
that
mood.
was it.
You had to tune the mood. Yep.
And you have to tune it. You like put that fucking foam rubber in the kick drum.
Yeah.
Get that nice smuck. Right?
Yep. I remember that for a dying day.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Too
So
funny.
what about gear?
Dwayne,
Yeah.
or not Dwayne, but the drummer, Creighton.
Yep.
Awesome drummer. I really liked him. But when they joined the band, who was in the band then?
Would have been
Steve
Willie.
Hennessy.
Yeah.
He was really good.
Yeah.
I like Steve. He's great. And there was Willie Dobson was still in the
Yeah,
band. And what's his name?
Guy
Paul Craig was still in the band. And Creighton. Awesome band.
Oh, Steve, right?
But I don't have any mixes of that band
And that's because
because he had that really live sounding drum kit.
Right.
With all kinds of overtones.
Yeah.
That he loved. He liked the feel of it. And he just wouldn't. I just couldn't. I couldn't even. Like people are saying, well, it doesn't sound as good as your bands usually sound. I said, well, not much I could do.
no, I get you. And I mean, again, like no shit when I say, and I just said this to somebody.
Awesome drummer,
yesterday.
awesome guy.
Yep.
But then when you went with Sharon B, because I do have some live recordings with Sharon B with Creighton playing drums, and it sounded a hell of a lot better. It was still a few overtones there.
Probably more triggering and stuff too for that.
Well, no, well, some of the drum, it sounded good. We were playing at the, where was that? Chestnut? Fredericton or
Oh,
something?
yeah, that's just I love
And was that it was a wide open room? Kind of
yeah, it was an L shape. It was a weird shaped room.
Yeah, really, so you had a lot of,
Low-
it was a really
low-
live sounding
Yeah,
room.
low ceiling. It was an L
So
shape.
it didn't sound bad, but he was a lot better in that band. But I wish I could have worked with a lot of bands. I never mixed Frank McKay, Dutch Mason. I would have loved to have mixed. But Frank McKay or Terry Hattie had an awesome voice, powerful. He was a lot like the Frank McKay.
Mm.
You could put the microphone like 3 feet away from him, and you could still hear him crystal clear and powerful, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll tell you, and it's funny because I'll go to Fredericton at the end of this month, and she got the sound force there, and I don't fight with them. It's like, what are you hearing? What do you need me to do? And I tune the drums for the sound band. I mean, that's
I'll
so.
give you $5.
Yeah, exactly. Agreement. But I mean, so there you go, right?
But straight up, Bill, I remember that your mixes, and it's funny you mentioned that about the drums, because I remember your mixes being so larger than life. It was like a concert. Every time that we saw, and we were open up because we saw them a lot in Drama. It was like a concert every time. Now, granted, there's some big rooms too. I mean, the Barn and PEI, and there's some pretty big rooms. But it was but even the Palace, it was a larger than life sound you had every time. So I don't remember no, I guess I wasn't really listening for
Was
it.
Creighton in the band then?
Yep. But it was a great life. But it was more than just the drum sound. Is everything had the vocals were perfect, guitars
Well,
were
that's
perfect,
one thing.
keyboards, like everything just was where it should be. It always had a nice bottom end sound, like Willie's sound and Creighton sound. It was just a great overall mix. Every time I've ever seen you mix.
Well, Harold Christinus.
Yeah.
He was my mentor, and he told me, came out and said, forget about the EQ. Doesn't matter what it looks like, or doesn't matter how you adjust all your tones, everything on your. People will come out and look and say, oh, look at the fucking EQ is. Oh, fuck, that must sound really good and all that stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But Harold said, doesn't matter what it looks like, as long as it sounds good.
Yeah.
That was the best. And keep your input signal down as low as you can, and drive your output levels.
I remember another Bill Boutilier story too.
What's that?
I remember you showed me one time, and I can't remember who you were mixing, but you're talking about a singer, and you were saying that if the singer was a good singer, the gain would be low, and if the singer was a bad singer, the gain would be high.
Yeah.
And I remember every time I'd see you mix, you go, shitty singer, and the gain was like 8. Good singer, and I always remember that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
So you mentioned Harold. So I mean, who were some of the other guys that during that time would have been out there doing it like with you?
Well, it was Brad Fox. It was Scrapper. He was another good sound man. You know, a lot of times they say you're only as good as your sound man.
Yep.
Well,
And a band is and you're only as good as your band.
Yep.
But if you get the combination, if you got a good band that knows how to turn up or get a nice sound, that makes all the difference in the world. Like, I mean, there's probably the Blues and like Dutch Mason would be a good band to mix, but I never get to mix them. Frank McKay, another, that kind of R&B stuff, clean, nice, clean stuff. Like, I would love to mix bands with that.
And more finesse as opposed to hard hitters. And,
yeah, well, if they're really loud on stage, you're overpowering. Everything gets, messed up. It's just it's bleeding into all the microphones and vocal mics.
That's true.
Yeah.
A rock band would be a tough thing to mix. You're right. I mean, because a full piece, 12-piece band with a 3 or 4-piece horns, it'd be very natural sounding on your stage sound.
Oh yeah.
So all you'd have to do really is amplify the stage sound properly and mix it for the room. I guess the amount of people in the room, and then you'd have your mix. Oh, yeah. But when you get a bunch of prima donnas up there, so mine goes to 11, mine goes to 12, and then I get it. I'm there.
Even with Drama, we played somewhere. Geez, where was that? Fredericton somewhere or whatever. It was a big long hall, and the club owner was real freaking. He kept coming over. We started playing. It was a pretty small crowd. Kept coming over and said, "Hey, it's too loud. Turn it down some." So I kept turning it down. I said, he kept coming over and saying, half hour, 5 minutes later, too loud, too loud. Turn it down some more. Kept doing this for about, he must have been there about 6 times. And finally, I took the masters and turned them right off. And I said, "How's that sound?" "It's great," he says. "That's the way it should be." Peter was on stage, and Peter's looking around and saying, "The fuck's going on here?" Peter jumps off, comes up front, comes down to me, says, "What are you doing? What's wrong with the PA?" I said, "Nothing. It's the club owner. Go talk to him." He says, "He won't let me turn the PA on. You guys are too loud on stage."
Because I remember some of those rooms were, like the Moon, the Palace, the Crazy Horse. They were big, but then you'd go to like Sam's down in Stelwarton. That wasn't a huge room. Or you go to the Bear's Den, Ritchie, where you go
Rich Buckto, Mr. K's?
Yeah, same place.
Well, I mixed
in Truro. That was another not huge room.
One afternoon, they asked me to go out and mix them. One afternoon, that day.
You went to Ritchie Buckto for an afternoon?
Yeah, with a 2-piece band. Oh, fuck. What's wrong with my brain?
2-piece band?
Yeah,
What year was that?
Jesus, Come on, brain, work it.
Sharon B?
No, it's only 2 guys.
2-piece band. Like Paul Lawson and something like that.
No, it was Gary Stanhope.
Oh, okay.
That was Madhash, wasn't it? No,
Madhash, yeah. Terry went up and did lights. I mean, everything was there. We just had to go up and I took my tape deck or something and I recorded them. That's the only time I ever got to do those 2 guys. It was interesting. It was fun. But there's a lot of bands.
It's a 6-hour drive for a matinee. It's gonna.
No. We were playing somewhere else.
Oh,
Sam.
Okay.
It's like we were doing a tour with Haywire, or we did one. We were playing Smooth Hermans one time. Haywire was playing down at the rink, and of course, Bruce Hudson wanted us to open up for Haywire. And I said, "Oh fuck, we got to tear all our gear down from Smooth Hermans." Because they wanted us on the early set, like open up for Haywire. So we had to tear all our stuff down, save with all our stuff, take it up, mixer, everything, set it all up, did our show, and the fucking place was just jammed. That arena. I mean, they had to bring ambulances. Peter, you know how good Drama looked back then.
Yep.
And Peter knew how to work a crowd, and those kids, I mean, they were getting crushed against the stage. They had about 3 or 4 ambulances had to come in, take kids that had passed out, and they were going crazy for Drama, right?
Yeah.
There was a handsome fucking band. Let's be honest.
They were good. I mean, Peter and Rob Hanna were probably the best 2 frontmen I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because when we had a little thing for Peter last week at Dave's house.
Yeah, I seen that.
And what I remember of Drama before we actually had an opportunity to see them was the clippings in the Herald. And I remember seeing these pictures of Peter, and I'm like, that's a pretty cool looking dude. And I just seeing the write-ups on them.
He's good.
But I remember seeing them for the first time, and it was at the Palace.
Mm-hmm.
And then they opened with "I Will Be There" by Last Tiger. And it's the drums and great chairs going everywhere. And And I'm thinking, holy shit. I just spent 5 years of my life trying to get good, and boy, I was schooled in about 30 seconds. And I mean, that was the one thing about that band that was just them and Razor Boy and all those guys.
It was professional.
You know what
They
it
weren't
is?
much show.
It's the frontman Peter was so good at his job. The other guys just naturally picked it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Peter
that's
never stopped
infectious.
moving.
the Battle of the Bands up in St. John.
Yeah.
At the arena there. That was like Jerry. What was Jerry? What was Jerry? Jerry, you know, black guy. He used to work with us sometimes.
Jerry.
Jerry, black guy.
Jeez, that's it.
Oh, I should have wrote all these names down before.
That's
we
all right.
started.
But it's Jerry. Jerry will figure it out.
He was doing sound for one of the other bands.
Yep.
He was working for us for a long time. He probably picked a lot of things up for me. You know, that was funny. I said, your band's not going to win this. It's already arranged. Drama's going to win. You know, we don't even have to play it. They're going to win. And I think he really thought he was going to. He really thought it was already. You know, the band was chosen already.
Yeah,
right?
That happened later years, but not.
And somehow he thought, you know, you had to draw numbers out of what order you played, right? Of course, I don't know if I drew the number out or whatever, but we were the last band to play. And that friggin' place went nuts.
Yeah.
And of course, they won, right?
Yeah.
Jerry was really like, oh my God, it was funny. Well, it wasn't funny, but.
So, Bill, do you think it could ever happen again? Like stuff that we experienced in the late 70s, 80s. You know, maybe not so much the 90s, but could it ever happen again?
Ritchie came back, maybe.
Yeah.
Ritchie Oakley came back, and some of the. I mean, we lost a lot of good musicians.
Yeah.
A lot.
There we go. Sorry, just trying to get going on the shot.
Yeah, I can't see shit.
And I think, you know, to your point, I mean, so much has changed. There's, you know, obviously this COVID thing, and it's trying to fight its way back. But, you know, the huge production in the club, there's no clubs that can handle that anymore. You know, you can't have the big drum kits on stage anymore. There's just no room. You don't make enough money to have a sound man, a light man, a fall spot guy stay just in the club scene. It's just, you know, I don't know if it ever comes back. I don't see it.
No.
You know?
No. Can't.
Yeah. So I mean, and for people that are part of this group and watch the show, that got to take part in it, it's pretty cool. The people that weren't, and I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, Dave and I were on the tail end of it. You started playing the bars in 1990. You can say anything you want. You missed a lot.
Yeah.
You weren't part of what we've been talking about. Dave and I were barely part of it, but it was.
You got it on the downslide.
Well, for us, we couldn't even work for less than $4,000 because that's how much our production cost.
Oh yeah.
We went on the road with 48 lights and usually got another 48.
Snoots.
Pardon?
He ate a lot of
A
snoots.
lot.
He cracked
A lot.
dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's so funny.
I would eat left it over from Mike Leo, whatever his name. Mike, what's his name? Mike, from In Between Days. Mike, guitar player from In Between Days.
I don't even
He called himself Mike Leo at the end. I'm sorry, Mike. I know you're probably on here and you have a real name.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking
Yeah,
about.
but that's all he ate was hot dogs. I would eat his leftover hot dogs. He'd leave at the band house. That's how bad I was. But that's bad. That's snoops. That's leftover snoops. But I mean, the light show that we had, the PA system we had, it cost X amount of money just to put that in place. So that's what you had to have. And it's funny. We talked to Bruce Wheaton, and he almost got fired. Remember that story? Bruce Wheaton was telling the story, but he almost got.
The story.
Yeah.
He's playing Lucifer's, and Razor Boy had played the week before. So Jackie brings his 150 lights in. So Bruce comes in the next week, and Rick O'Grady grabs and says, "You need more lights." What do you mean I need more? Razor Boy had 150 lights. Bruce has got 40 lights, and he thinks it's pretty good. And anyway, Bruce is like, "I got to get more lights to come in here and play." But it's, we play the Ale House now. Honest to God, Randy Urquhart, who was a light man for the Trees, who ran huge shows, is rocking, 4 park ends, and they're all red. You know what I mean?
We did the Palace with Drama one time there, and Terry was doing lights. We had 120,000 watts of lights. And the last song, we were up on the the upper deck there.
Yep.
Doing down you're down in that booth there,
That's right.
and it's the last song, and Terry hit everything came on. It was like, I felt like I was in a microwave. It was just the heat. You could feel it coming right across. It was like, what kind of a fucking light bill with that bar head?
Honest to God.
Well, you know
I
what?
never-
That was aircrafts and bars, and not like LEDs now. Like these, it's funny.
I never
You
thought
bring
of
out
the concert
a
would
couple
be.
bars of LEDs, and people are like, "Oh my god, it's so hot!" It's like you have no idea.
Yeah, how hot.
Because
You know
you knew the light man didn't like you in a band. He pointed a rack of aircrafts at you, right?
Yeah, it
We're
was
getting
bad.
some of those bars where the smoke was so you didn't need a smoke machine.
Right.
Yeah.
You could
Cigarette
touch the
smoke.
cigarette smoke. I'm surprised we're all still alive.
Well, I mean, I remember, you know, getting in the shower the next day and you just smell like an
You got the
ashtray.
next morning and you go to grab your clothes that you throw on the floor. It smelled like a friggin' ashtray.
Yeah.
You hit your face right in the ashtray. That's how bad the smoke was. And I didn't smoke. Smoke some weed and stuff, but hey, that's. And Ritchie, there's another one. You want to hear another one?
Sure.
Okay, we're going out west, right? On that Western tour, '84. Ritchie and Doug McKay and Willie Dobson and Neil McKinnon and Sam. So we got a gig in Fredericton. We do the gig. We got a motel booked. Everybody gets to bed, but I said we're leaving early in the morning. Get up the next morning. I come out. I was driving. We had a big passenger van, and I was driving that. I come out to get in it, to open it up to put all the luggage and stuff in it. No van. And we'd have to be in Edmonton like 2 days later or whatever, right? And I'm thinking to myself, oh my fuck, somebody stole the van. So I said to Sam, Sam, I'm going up and calling the cops. So I go up to the head office and told the manager, I said, we got to report a stolen vehicle. He says, what vehicle? I told him. He says, no. I said, what do you mean, no? He says, I've got it. I said, well, could I have it, please? And he says, no, not until you pay a bill. I said, what bill? He says, is Ritchie Oakley in the band?
Maybe.
And I said, yeah. Well, last time he was here with Oakley, they did about $890 worth of damage to one of our rooms. We won it.
Yep.
So I started thinking, okay, if I call the cops, he wants his money. If I go to court, we're going to be a couple of days late. And so I said, so I had to pay it.
Fuck the agent.
So I paid it. No, he gave me the van keys. We took off. Went out and did the Western tour. It was kind of good and kind of bad. Got back. First stop is Stephenville, the Lower Leaks.
The Western tour. Again, must have been a Hazen Ruding show.
Oh yeah. So the road crew. We're loading in, or we get to the place, knock on the door, it's locked. The manager comes out, opens the door, he looks at us. He looked at me and says, who are you? I said, I'm with Sam Moon, I'm the road manager, and I'm here to set up. He looks at me and says, Ritchie Oakley in the band? And I said, oh, Jesus Christ. No, okay. I started thinking my brain was going like you're on speed, right? Okay, if I lie to him, he's going to find out because Ritchie's going to come in and play. So I started thinking,
do you like Ritchie Oakley?
How am I getting out of this? I started thinking, oh, now I'm going to have to fucking go back home because they won't let him play. So he said, I said, yeah. And he said, oh, that's great. I looked at him, I said, oh, that's good. Yeah, Ritchie had to play. He stayed and did 3 extra nights here. I said, oh, geez, that was good then. Yeah, his bar tab was more than what he made. The band had to play an extra 3 nights.
To bail him out.
The bar tab was more than what the band was paid.
The whole
they had to
band.
stay an extra 3 nights.
Well, I love it.
See, that's rock and roll, kids. You don't even know. You don't even know.
No, it was unbelievable that the heat. Like I freaked. I said, oh, thank God for that. That's not going to happen. I said, nobody. I showed the bartender and the staff. Nobody charges drinks.
The old bar tab.
Ritchie pays cash. Ritchie pays cash and nothing.
So, geez, we could do this all night,
Yeah.
but it's getting a little long in the hour. So one of the things, Dave, just do a last scan of this conversion through.
We'll try and, I don't know if you can see it all. You might show it backwards. I don't know.
Hang on. This one's pretty great.
Look at this now.
So we'll read them off to you again. So there's, again, July 91, Mingle with the Misty Moon. Mingle with Misty Moon, 81, 81, 81. Mingle with Power, Misty Moon. Commander Cody, Three Dog Night. Leave on Helm, Kate Brothers Band, Dave on Helm, Kate Brothers Band, Doug and the Suggs. Doug and the Suggs. This is in 81 again, Doug and the Suggs, Ian Thomas. Jeez, there you go. Dutch
I like
Mason.
that one myself.
Titan, there you go.
Titan. Misty Moon, 1980. Dave Roberts was 10 years old, I think, at that game.
Oh, no.
Dave's one of my faves.
You
I'm
have to be
sorry.
15 before
You
you
have
do
to
this.
set live. Oh my God, look at that.
What is it?
I love.
I already said that earlier.
That's
Yeah,
my favorite tunes. I'm gonna let him play.
Yeah.
You said, oh, cool. Frank McKay, John Lee Hooker, Dutch Mason, Don Child.
So here's the point. Here's the point. We could stay here all night.
Rocks. Who was in Rocks? That was a.
Guitar player. Scott Rogers. Scott Rogers, and the little singer was
But we are going to try to figure out a way to get Bill back on. Might not be SoundCloud. It'll be something else. But a lot of this stuff needs to be heard.
Oh my gosh.
I do. I have a.
We just went through it. It was like.
I am on SoundCloud there. A little
There's
bit.
ICU 91.
Yeah.
ICU again.
Yeah, there's one of ICO. There's Sam Moon. These are all Sam Moon. Mark Haynes and the Zippers here.
Fast
The
forward.
Battery. Got the Battery here.
Yes, that's another band too.
And the Blues Band from England. Fast forward. So let's fast forward.
Madhash.
Roy Young.
Well, we gotta say
Mr. K's.
hi and bye on this note. So, the Chestnut Inn, March 28th, 1987.
Was that Sharon B?
Sharon B and the Brutal Beat.
That was with Creighton. And
There
Roy
you go,
Johnson.
Sharon.
And Guy Turner was on keyboards.
Yep.
That's classic.
That was a
Sharon
good
B right
band.
there.
That was a good band.
Classic Sharon B. Mr. Boutilier, thanks so much for this. We had a blast. We had a
Yeah,
blast,
it was fun.
and we got to do it again because.
Oh, I'm gonna give you a. I'll give you one up too.
Oh yes.
What is it?
Hang on a minute.
Free stuff? We fucking love free stuff.
There's
Ooh, what's that?
7. Hang on a minute. I'll tell you what's on there.
All right.
Hang on.
Now you watch Bill Building's computer. I don't know how to get Zoom on my computer though, Dave. Fucking liar.
What, he's a one-finger.
Look at this.
But here's what we'll do while he's firing up.
That is a whole DVD or
CD burner.
So-
DVD and CD burner.
What Bill's firing this up. So hopefully, again,
Oh,
we
there's
started this about 4 months ago,
Yep.
4.5 months ago. You know, we were talking about the East Coast scene. We were talking about
Here's what I got on this little drive for you. Battery.
That's
what
all in
is
there?
this?
Check on. Oh, this is awesome.
So you go into any one of these. There's Drama there, Peter Ettinger. Hang on.
Mike Dimitri, I got you on tape here. We're gonna get you here live here. I got Mike
Hang on.
Dimitri's number. We're
I
gonna
will
get
follow
him on
along.
here next
There
week.
Everybody wants to rule the world.
Oh yeah.
Come on, work you. Yeah, make a liar of me.
That is fun.
What's on this?
how about
Oh, that's Kevin. Michael. It's live as just It's unbelievable. That was recorded on a 90-minute set tape.
Bill Boutilier? Love you, brother. High five. All right.
Episode, yeah. Too much. Peace out, for later.
There's